Hello, and welcome to Return to Regalia, an Underland Chronicles reread podcast. I'm Una.
And I'm Mike.
Today, we'll be covering chapter 21 of The Marks of Secret, in which the group gets caught in some currents. Before we get into that, though, I want to give a shout out to the Underland Chronicles zine set in stone. They finally finished it.
It's finally here.
Yeah, you can read the whole thing at tumblr.com/Underland Chronicles Zine, all one word. That's Underland Chronicles Zine.
It's just an amazing collaboration between Underland authors and Underland Chronicles artists, just coming together and just showing their appreciation for Suzanne Collins' classic series with some awesome fan art and just some awesome fan work. So make sure y'all go check that out.
Yeah, really. It's over 350 pages of writing and art, and it's all set in the world of the Underland Chronicles. Everyone worked so hard on it. It looks amazing. Thank you to everyone who contributed. It's just incredible. Mike, welcome back to the podcast.
It's so awesome to be back. I mean, I'm sure I speak for all of the fans, but we're just always excited to be able to sit down with the Return to Regalia group and see what's been on their minds since they've been reading these books. So it's always good to be here and speak to you guys.
Yeah, it's so good to have you back. Did you have any initial thoughts about this chapter?
Every single time I come on, every chapter, I'm like, man, things just are about to get real. But I think we're in the midst of things getting real. There's some really awesome lighthearted moments. I don't know how she does it. She's just really good at setting you up with some lighthearted moments and then just gut punching you.
Right.
I'm just saying, I'm ready to be punched in the guts.
Yeah, I agree. Everything from here on out just gets more and more intense. It's been getting intense for a while, but we're kind of getting into this is kind of the chapter that transitions into the end of this book, and the disaster that happens after this chapter is just the beginning of the end of the whole series.
Absolutely. It's just, it really is just Gregor, you are no longer he's always been I feel like he's come into being a man since his dad left, but I feel like this book is where he steps into truly realizing himself as a man, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so where we left off, the currents had just hit in the middle of Gregor trying to apologize for yelling at Luxa earlier. Chapter 21 begins with a blast of air knocking Nike up against the ceiling, pinning Gregor and Cartesian to the stone. The wind stops, then starts again from a different direction, rocketing Nike forward into a wide-open space with a dozen conflicting air currents. They remind Gregor of the misty currents that kept him and Boots from hitting the ground when they fell through the grate in the laundry room the first time. Which is kind of just a fun throwback to when they first came to the Underland.
Yeah, did we ever figure out what the maybe I'm blanking and it's just there's so much information from these books to take in, but did we ever figure out what those particular currents were? I know Vicus might have said something but what exactly causes great gusts of wind, thousands if not hundreds of thousands of feet underground?
Yeah, that is such a good question. I don't think it's ever explained. You're right that Vicus...
what generates breeze?
Yeah, Vicus does mention it at some point, and I guess there is some amount of air movement, because we've got the jungle producing oxygen, and
right.
There are waves on the waterway. But yeah, these specific currents that are misty and you can see them. I'm not sure if we ever get an actual explanation for those.
I'm poorly blanking on all of my science from school, so I couldn't begin to explain the concept of how winds and currents work. But just taking that science and then putting it underground, it just seems even more fantastical than everything else we're being shown in the series.
Right. Yeah. I also would not have enough science knowledge to put together some explanation for this. I'm sure there are other fans out there that could probably like come up with, I don't know, something that this might be based on, but
Please let us know. Please, if you're out there with some science knowledge, please let us know and explain
yeah,
how could this be possible.
yeah, absolutely. Just drop that right in the comments. So the wind knocks Gregor off Nike's back, but holds him aloft, and he's panicking a little, but eventually Rip Red, who is also airborne, gets close enough to tell him, stop fighting. Gregor manages to relax his muscles and stop struggling against the wind. For a little while, he's enjoying the way he can fly around like a superhero, but then he smacks into Rip Red, who reminds him to think of his friends. Gregor holds onto Rip Red's tail and looks around to find Luxa easily navigating the currents with Boots holding onto her back.
Oh, so I guess everybody just has experience except for Gregor with floating around in these currents.
Yeah, Rip Red is just like, he just comes in. I wonder if it's because Rip Red has like experienced something like this before, or just he kind of like understood it faster than everyone else. Like you have to stop fighting it to be able to, you know, relax and move around and stuff.
Is it like similar to the sand situation? Like it's just very interesting because like, I mean, well, this even brings it in like for Luxa because she seems to be able to navigate this. So it's like, how often is she navigating like currents without being on her back? So like, these are just weird, crazy things that I think of. It's just, it's so interesting that, like, you know, it just highlights still even this far into the series, things that Gregor still has to learn and understand. And it just puts so much more information that we don't know, but it's just implied in how quick they're able to navigate these crazy things.
Yeah, I wonder if Luxa is like, she's just so much more used to being airborne, like even on her bat or like when she's flipping through the air and stuff. She's
That
just
makes
like,
sense.
yeah, she's just like better at thinking about like how her body is moving through the air, and Gregor just does not have like any experience with that.
That makes sense.
I do love that he's like, oh man, this feels like I'm like a superhero flying around. And then he literally just smacks into Rip Red, and Rip Red is like, hey, reality check, your friends are in trouble.
Hey, bro, welcome to reality. I'm a talking rat and we're floating around in a current with talking bats, dude. Welcome to reality. Hold on to my tail.
Literally.
Insane.
So Temp coasts by with Hazard hanging onto his shell. Cartesian is just straight up asleep, so he's doing fine, which I think is hilarious. But the bats are having a terrible time because every time they open their wings, they just get spun around uncontrollably. And Ares is the biggest bat, so he's having the most difficult time with it.
I'm thinking of just a sleep Cartesian, just like everyone is having a hard time just trying to get this current thing down. And it's just a sleep Cartesian's body just flapping in this current. And keep in mind, he's not having the greatest of time either. So this is probably the best point of his life at the moment.
Right, right. The fact that he just gets to be unconscious for this part is probably good for him. Gregor almost lets go of Rip Red to go to Ares, but Rip Red snags his backpack and asks him what his plan is. When Gregor says he doesn't know, Rip Red suggests that they land and form a base. They maneuver into a cave along the wall, and Rip Red positions himself with his tail hanging in the breeze. After a few minutes, Luxa catches on and makes her way over. Rip Red pulls her and Boots into the cave.
This scene for me is so interesting because, like, how would they shoot something like this? Like, what kind of physical tech work would it take to like shoot this if we were talking about like filming this as a movie? Like, how do you like? I'm just trying to like think about the actual physicality of the space that they're in, and then like what's actually happening. So there's caves lined up against like in the massive chasm that they're already in as they're experiencing this air. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm just thinking like, how is he maneuvering himself in the air? Like, I would love to see like how this is planned out. I would just love to see someone draw this or like someone explain it. I'm just so like, it just sounds so hard to do, especially as like a tiny boy. So I'm just curious to see like, I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Are you imagining a live action adaptation?
Yeah, because like, you know, there's a lot of like, I mean, obviously there's the green screen work and stuff, but more so something along the similar lines. Like it's like half live action, or the closest way that I can explain it would be like League of Legends Arcane.
Mm,
That's how I would imagine like the actual visual style for like this sort of series would be put together, because it allows for that graphic violence. It allows for that those emotions on one's face, especially the eye work. If anyone has seen Arcane, like just the eye work, like the facial animation of these characters when they're experiencing like trauma or flashbacks or anything like that, I think it would be beautiful for a series like this.
yeah, it is so funny you mentioned Arcane because Nate and I literally just finished watching it like last week for the first time because I had heard it was really good. Like, I had seen a bunch of stuff for it online. The art looked amazing, and I was like, Nate, we really need to watch this. So we did, and it honestly like wrecked us.
Oh, dude, like it is heart wrenching. Like everyone gets a sad story. Like you get your tragic gaze, you get like your tragic like childhood sweetheart story. You get like you just really get like an all around like amazing. And honestly, I never really sat down and played too much of League of Legends. I'm so sorry for going on this tangent, but yeah, it's just amazing how they can like drag me into a universe like that. And I think the animation is so important to that, which is why I
Mm-hmm.
think a story like this would be so good for animation like that.
Yeah, I agree. I also have not played League of Legends. I've had like friends who've played it, so I kind of know a little bit about it, but not really. But yeah, no, the animation in Arcane is just incredible, and I would really love to see some type of Gregor thing in that style.
That would be my
Because it's
pitch. Like,
yeah, it's very like comic-y and like action comic vibes feel to it, and I think that that would suit certain parts of Gregor like really well. Yeah, my biggest thing in imagining a Gregor adaptation has always been like, how would they make it feel dark but still have the audience be able to like see what's going on? But I feel like there are some good, like well lit parts in Arcane that they could definitely like use as the blueprint for how to do that.
it would rely on a lot of like blues and bioluminescence and things that weren't originally mentioned in possibly like the series as we know it, but there would be a lot more of that. There would still be torches and lanterns and flashlights, of course, but for like areas where it's like, well, how am I seeing them right now? I don't see them with like a flashlight or a torch on. Like that sort of bioluminescence, I feel like is what they would rely on a lot of. Like they're just gonna have to be like, okay, there's a lot of glowing rocks under the
Yeah.
ground, or like you're just gonna have to eat that. Yeah.
I that is so funny. I was literally thinking the same thing, and I was thinking about this like the other day. I'm like, huh, if they ever adapted Gregor into like a movie or a TV show, they would have to just like make all of the Underland a little bit like glowy and bioluminescent.
You would have to. There would have to be some sort of sacrifices made or suspension, because there's already so much like disbelief or belief we have to suspend in order to actually enjoy like the book and the series in general. You feel me? Like talking rats, a geopolitical war, underground, all that, right? So like I can suspend my actual like nitpickiness of like visual representation for like some like non-canon but like sort of plausible deniability ways to present visuals in a plausible manner. Give me bioluminescence, give me like glowing moss and glowing fungi and glowing
Hmm.
rocks. Just like I'm cool with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be cool with that too. If in exchange for a Gregor movie, I could put up with some glowing moss.
Give me all my emotional moments. Give me Gluxa written well. Give me a voiced Rip Red, and I'm good. Like just I can take the
Yeah,
rocks.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, but this scene in particular is so interesting to think about as an adaptation, like especially if you're going live action instead of animated. Like there would
Is
still
it
be
humorous?
this part, you think?
Would you think it would be played more humorous? Do you think it'd be more serious? Other compared to like the frogs in the jungle, like I wouldn't
Yeah.
consider that a humorous moment. But is this a humorous moment? Is this a moment of
Hmm.
like relieving tension? Like what would you consider this?
That is such a good question. I think that you could make it humorous, but it's gotta be you've got to get across like the sheer terror of the bats in this situation. So I think
Right.
it's like a kind of break from the tension that in the previous chapter we like find out that the mice are all gonna die, maybe like that's the Bane's plan, is that he's gonna like try and kill them all, and then it ends with Gregor and Luxa fighting. So we kind of have like a certain kind of tension there, and then this chapter is like a break from that tension with like a different sort of tension, which is interesting. I hadn't thought about the fact that you could make it like more comical, but I definitely think there are comedic elements to it, like the idea of Gregor smacking into Rip Red in the air, or like Cartesian floating by and he's just like asleep.
Yeah, like Gregor holding onto his tail. Like there's things that I agree. I was just very it was just this scene for me is such an I'm not gonna say it's a weird scene or an unnecessary scene. It just seems like to me personally, like until we get to the actual like emotional parts of it, kind of like a filler. If that's
Mm.
looking at it with like I've been at this series forever, so like what do I consider parts of these books like compared to like moments that you need to like latch onto in the series? Like to me, until we get some more emotional moments in this same chapter, the whole physical rescuing the bats part just seems like filler to me. I'm not hating on it. I just to me that's what this moment gives. It's very filler. So I don't you can really do whatever you want with this.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, it is a little bit of like filler between where we just came from and then we're going into like the end of the book. This is kind of just
It's
like,
very it's very much we
yes.
gotta get to this. So how do we get there?
Yeah, it's just this like transitional chapter where we're like just between things, and
It's honestly very human of Suzanne.
yeah, just to like kind of give us a breath before we get into the actual like end sequence of this book.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a little bit fun. Like we've got Gregor flying around, and like yeah, the bats are in trouble, but like it's not like they're about to, die or anything like that. It's not gruesome or gory, or it's a little bit disturbing when we get like later on we get up close to Ares and we're like, "Oh, this is really like messed up for him." But it's not as bad as other parts in this book.
Yeah, it turns their situation on their head. Gregor has no idea about flying or anything, and now he has to help his bat, who's like made for flying, and who's currently struggling to navigate through like such a tough time in the air.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's get to that part. So Rip Red pulls Luxa and Boots into the cave. To keep Boots from diving back into the currents, Gregor says that he has a special job for her, but then he actually has to come up with a job for her. So he has to look in his backpack for an idea, and he comes up with the binoculars. He gives them to Boots so she can look through them and say when someone passes by, even though it's kind of a pointless task. Temp and Hazard come in, followed by Howard and the unconscious Cartesian. Luxa wants to go back in to help the bats, but Rip Red again asks what the plan is. Gregor suggests a human chain, but Rip Red vetoes that idea, as it would involve all of them hanging on to just his tail.
No, that's stupid.
Gregor tried. He had an idea. It wasn't the best, but he gave it his best shot.
How much do you want to bet that, like, you know what? Like, he absolutely could create the human chain, and that would totally work. But Ripley doesn't want to have to deal with that sort of pain on his tail. He's an old rat. He's just not down for it.
Yeah, he's like, I've been through enough recently. I do not need this too.
Can't be bothered.
So Rip Red makes Luxa say please before he shares his own idea, which is for the humans to pin the bats' wings down with their legs and maneuver them into the cave without letting them try to fly. Luxa goes out to retrieve Talia first, since she's the smallest, and the plan works, except for when they get close to the cave entrance, Talia has to bite Rip Red's tail so they can get pulled in. And this is like another comedic moment, I think, that you could really play up.
Yeah. So the answer is this could definitely just be a humorous, like, breath of, like, woo!
Yeah. Howard offers to get Ares for Gregor since he's bigger and stronger, but Gregor says, he's my bond, I'll do it. When he gets out to Ares, the narration says, the thing that unnerved Gregor the most was the sound Ares was making, not words or the clear, high bat squeaks Gregor could sometimes hear. It was like a scream, a continuous, tormented sound of pain. Being caught in the currents seemed to be literally driving Ares insane, which is really intense.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're just whiplash. You just got whiplash from a very hilarious, funny moment to just okay. Now you have like Ares tripping balls because he can't like find his footing in the turret. It's so sad.
Yeah, yeah, it's really intense. And Gregor just, feels worse for having enjoyed flying earlier.
Like what a description.
Yeah, it really is, like, very effective.
Nothing so like English that his ears could understand, and nothing similar to a bat squeak, but like this continuous terrified scream. Like
Hmm.
what?
Yeah, yeah, really wild. Gregor struggles to get close to Ares because his wings keep smacking him away. Finally, Gregor grabs hold of his neck and shouts at him to stop fighting just like Rip Red did to him. A fortuitous current flattens Gregor against Ares' back, and he clamps his legs around him. He shouts, "It's Gregor," and Ares stops screaming for the first time. Gregor tells Ares, "I've got you," and promises not to leave him. This part is like so emotional. I love it that Gregor is like, "I'll fly for a change. I'll fly this time."
Yes, yes. It's very similar to that moment because I joke. All right. So spoiler alert, and people are gonna hate me for this. You're gonna go like a huge gasp. But I didn't watch How to Train Your Dragon until very recently. I want to say like a month ago, and I'm so sorry. But like, I just wanted to wait until like I don't know, I'm being a hipster about How to Train Your Dragon. Like, yeah, I'm the coolest dude in the world. But like, I finally watched this movie, and like, I'm watching like the dragon. What's the dragon's name?
Toothless?
Toothless. Yeah, Toothless. Like he has like a thing where like his wing stops working or like there's some sort of issue navigating. And so like he relies on Hiccup to like use like the prosthetic wing and like have him navigate for a change. And it honestly was an emotional, beautiful moment. And I can only imagine like this is just as an emotional. Like this would be one of those moments
Hmm.
that like hugs at your heartstrings. Because how many Gregor Ares like genuine moments between them do we get in these series?
Yeah, I totally remember that part. I had forgotten about that part in How to Train Your Dragon. I haven't seen that movie in a really long time, but I do remember that now that you describe it. And I think that there's
It's
a
the
lot of
reliance.
similarities. Yeah, yeah. It's like they depend on each other, they're relying on each other.
I'm a sucker for that.
So much of the time Ares is doing like the work of flying, and suddenly they're in this situation where his wings, his big beautiful wings are so are kind of like a hindrance now, and Gregor
But
has to be the
useless.
one. Yeah, Gregor has to be the one to like take control of the situation. And I was thinking also when rereading this part, just the fact that the relationship between the humans and the bats can seem very one-sided sometimes. Like it seems like the bats are so much more useful in the Underland compared to the humans. But then we get
Yeah,
this
exactly.
scene where it's like, oh, the bats would actually be helpless without the humans in this situation. So this is just a fun kind of look at like this is how the humans are also helping the bats.
Yeah, I guess that's exactly what like Underland Chronicles fans have been kind of wanting or I've been asking for a while because it's kind of been like and I don't know if they answered this in the book. What exactly do humans bring to the table for the Flyers?
Yeah, I think that it's
Like, what do they
probably
bring?
yeah,
I'm so sorry. What do you bring to the table for real?
I think that it's gotta be like the ability to use tools and build things and like write stuff down. I'm sure that the humans kind of are like advancing science and technology in a way that the bats maybe weren't able to do without the humans, just because the bats don't have, opposable thumbs. So I imagine that there's an exchange of
And
ideas
technology
there.
and stuff. I
But
get
but
that.
like for the most part, in most situations in the series so far, when they're out on the quests, the bats are the ones who are always saving everyone. Like, yeah, just like there's not a whole lot of
Taking a brunt of damage,
yeah,
constantly saving people. constantly risking their life. The bondage just seems so, like you said, it seems so one-sided.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, a lot of the issues that these flyers get into are also just because of the humans' beef with. Let me ask you a question. If humans weren't involved in this geopolitical landscape, would the flyers and the Nars have any beef at all?
That is such a good question.
I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, again, so like, what do humans bring to the? Again, you're so right. Like, you nailed the like the what like the. There's a symbiotic relationship here, but I just want to know like what do the
Yeah.
flyers get out of it? Like, I just want to know, and I wish we got a little bit more of that. And this is why I love the scene so much, is because it's like finally I see something like, and and it's so good that between Gregor and Ares, because he saves Ares' life in the first book. I just like seeing the humans do something and care about the flyers, because like you're right, it just seems so one sided throughout the series.
Yeah, we haven't been given a lot of situations up until this point where the bats have been at a disadvantage. Like, they're basically at an advantage all the time. I guess we've been given, like, caves that are too small for them to fly through, so we have to carry them on the crawlers, or like in the jungle is too thick for them to fly. And we've seen, like, bats get injured so they can't fly anymore, and then the humans have to, like, help out, like when Gregor sews, I think, Aurora's wing in one of the books. The first book, maybe?
Yeah, and like Luke still had like a whole
Yeah.
thing about it.
So there's definitely, like, some moments that are like the humans are the ones with the advantage in a certain situation. Yeah, now that I think about it, there have been like a couple times.
Fair enough, but I'm still, I'm still putting these killers on watch.
Right, right. You have to imagine that, like, the humans need the bats way more than the bats need the humans, because the bats survived in the Underland for a really long time just fine without the humans, but the humans would not be able to function in the Underland at all without the bats. So it's interesting that we get this scene where the bats are utterly, useless and the humans have to save them.
Fanfic writers, I would love for you guys to write anything about the structure of how the bats like whole entire land and like hierarchy works. I would love for you to like take us into the world of the flyers, because there's just not enough information for me personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure someone could write, like, a really good prequel or even a sequel, I guess. Anything that goes into the human bat relationships. That'd be great to look at more closely. Gregor, as he is holding on to Ares, he keeps talking the whole time. They're navigating the currents together, but it's really slow going and exhausting. Gregor is starting to doubt he'll be able to hold on any longer when someone lands behind him to help out. It says, Gregor almost went limp with relief. Then he remembered he was not the one being rescued and reinforced his grip on Ares' wings. I like this part that Gregor's, like, so exhausted that he has to remember, like, oh yeah, like, I'm part of the rescue party. I am not being rescued here. I have to stay strong.
He's about to start thanking everybody.
Yeah. Somehow they end up safe and sound in the cave, and Gregor realizes both Howard and Luxa helped him bring Ares in. The four bats are all lying on the floor traumatized. Howard says it would help them to hang, and Hazard says there's a ledge in the back of the cave. They carry Talia to it and flip her upside down so she can clamp onto the rock ledge with her claws, which comforts her. They move all the bats onto the ledge, and none of them speak, but they're calmer now. After a mushroom dinner, Temp offers to keep watch while the others sleep. Sometime later, Gregor wakes to a mysterious scratching noise. Ripred is awake next to him, so he asks him what it is. Ripred just tells him to go back to sleep.
No, 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 no. See, I'm not live. See, no one's not. See, that doesn't work for me personally. I wouldn't accept that. I don't know about you.
If you were Gregor, you would have demanded an explanation.
Oh, absolutely. Like, because, like, first of all, like, I'm just thinking of, like, him, like, scratching his claw while watching everybody sleep menacingly, because he's just annoyed. And Gregor wakes up, is like, everything okay? He's like, go back to sleep. Oh, dude. Nah, I wouldn't accept that.
Yeah, isn't later in the fifth book, we find out that the scratching that's coming through the walls is actually the code of Claw?
Which is like, why would you not say anything? I don't accept your answer, Whitbread.
Adults are always trying to like keep information from Gregor for no reason.
Yeah, you know what would definitely help the warrior through his quest? Not letting him know anything. It's definitely helped the first 3 times we've done it.
I wonder if Whitbread's just thinking like, oh, if I explain to him this whole code thing, then he's not going to be able to sleep, and he needs to be fully rested for the rest of this trip or whatever. Like, I'm sure that Whitbread has some kind of internal reasoning for why he decides not to tell Gregor, but yeah.
Here you go, bringing sense into the conversation.
Hours later, Howard wakes Gregor up and tells him that they have to leave because the currents have stopped, but there's no telling when they'll come back. Gregor asks how Ares is, and all the bats agree that being in the currents was horrible. Talia starts to cry just thinking about it, and Gregor says, "I've got a special one for you. What did one wall say to the other wall?" She sobs, "I do not know," and Gregor replies, "Meet you at the corner," which makes her sobs turn into giggles. I love that part.
That part would warm my heart so much. I love Dahlia so much. She's one of my favorite characters on this entire series. She's such a sweetheart.
Right? She's just so like pure, and yeah, she brings a lot of joy.
If I could cast her, rest in peace to her soul. I forgot her name, but she was the voice of Ducky from Land Before Time. I don't know if you've ever seen that cartoon.
Oh, I probably saw it like when I was really young, so I can't conjure the voice in my head now. I'll have to look it up later. Before they take off to continue the search for the mice, Luxa suggests the bats stick close to the walls and keep a cave or two in sight where they can take cover if the currents come back. Whitbread tells her, "Now that is a good plan, Your Highness, and how refreshing that you have one," and she shoots him a look. I think this is great. Like, Whitbread throughout the past like couple chapters just keeps being like, what's your plan? What's the plan? Like, you need to have a plan. You can't just rush into things. You have to have a plan. And she finally like learns the lesson and comes up with one. And then he's like, "Now that's what I'm talking about." And she's just like pissed at him.
It's like, I don't know why you're mad at me. I'm just literally trying to keep us all focused, and you're pissed off at me for trying to keep you focused, young lady. Like, as an adult now, like, I think that's so funny.
Right?
As a kid, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna need you to fall back.
They fly through the wide cavern, which seems to go on, ducking into caves whenever the currents start up again. They pass volcanoes that rumble and spew smoke and lava. Eventually, the bats land when the wind isn't even that bad, and Gregor realizes they're taking cover for another reason. Whitbread orders everyone to get down, then apologizes to Luxa because he said he wouldn't be in charge. Which I love that he's keeping his word, like, even though Luxa demanding that she be the one who gives the orders was kind of like this childish thing. I kind of like how Whitbread is just, like, respecting her, control over the situation. Like, he's trusting her to give orders, and also, like, he's not going back on his word to her that he would let her be in charge.
It also gives me, like, God, like, their bonds in the future. But man, what an awesome potential future, like, political, like, advisor. You know what I mean? Like, I can just see, like, her walking around the castle doing her queen shit, and like, whenever she needs to like gain some like intel or like understand something about anything regarding our like history or whatever, there's just Whitbread in like her ear, but also just letting her do her own thing. Like, I love their relationship.
Me too. I could not agree more. Like, Whitbread is really setting himself up, like, as her advisor in this book. Just in the past, like, couple chapters. Yeah, he is so, like, scheming to just kind of, like, planting in her mind, like, hey, I would respect you as a leader. I trust you. I'd follow your orders. I'd give you advice. And she's just totally, like, soaking that in.
And honestly, like, I don't know what that probably pays off like in the immediate future, but it's like I didn't notice that. As an adult now, it's like I'm like, wow, like, genius.
Right? Yeah, me neither. I think I was always like in the last book when Luxa and Ripred become bonds, I was always kind of like, oh, that's nice, they're friends. Like, I was always just thinking about the whole like bonding thing as like something you do with your best friend and your best friends forever, and you protect each other, and you save each other's lives. But when Luxa and Ripred do it, it's more of this like political alliance, and I never understood like the full weight of what that meant as a kid.
Like, he gains a lot of political benefit for himself and for the Nars being in the position such as that, being a actual, like, not only political, but like what is considered, especially with things like the Vow of the Dead and all of that, like this realm spanning, like almost like soul bond of like, my life is your life. I care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's very
Mm-hmm.
like, it's been, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's very all encompassing. And for that to be like mutually, that's not the story I was trying to hit. Mutual need, because Rip Renner brings that up a lot in this book, a lot in this
Mm-hmm.
series is like mutual need. So like
Absolutely.
he's so smart, but also we're also just talking about an adult rat who's been through a lot, just placating these feelings of a child.
Right? Yeah, there's so many layers to this of like Luxa is this you know, major political figure, but also she's just this kind of bratty kid sometimes. And like Ripard recognizes that she's smart, she's talented, she can take care of herself, she can take care of others. And beyond just that, like the political power that she wields is immense, just having like the whole Regalian army at her back. But then on another level, like she really is just this 12-year-old.
Yeah, it's so wonder. Whoa, Ripper is so big brain. And it's like, here you go, kid.
Yeah, it's funny. I like that relationship between them though, because Luxa also recognizes that Ripred is clearly more experienced, has more knowledge. Like they both see a lot of like talent and intelligence in the other, and Luxa I think sees the value in keeping Ripred around. It's not just Ripred straight up like manipulating Luxa into being like doing what he says, or like it's not Ripred letting Luxa think that she's making the decisions, but really he's making the decisions. Like he really does, offer advice to her when she wants it. Like he just is difficult about it and makes her like say please when she asks for his plan, which
Yeah,
is
seems to make every
it's
one of them
great.
work for his advice. Like, all right, you want my advice? I'm gonna make you work for it. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you being you guys read the Hunger Games. I still haven't read nor watched the Hunger Games. I
Oh
know
shit.
I know. It's just again, I just wasn't into it
Oh,
because
I think you'd like it.
I know, and everyone tells me that, but I'm like, dude, it's just there's so much now. But I will the next time I speak to you, I will get through the first movie or book, and then we'll talk about it. But
Amazing.
the reason why I bring it up is now is this relationship more similar to I hear this character gets compared to Rip Red a lot. Is this more akin to a Haymitch Katniss relationship in this particular situation over Gregor, or do you still think that Gregor and Rip Red have more of that Haymitch Katniss relationship,
That's
comparatively
interesting.
speaking?
See, I'm at a disadvantage because I haven't actually read Hunger Games in a really long time. I read the series back in like middle school or something, and I've seen the movies more recently. So I think Luxa and Katniss have a ton in common. If I'm remembering the books correctly, they do have a really good like parallel, like Luxa and Katniss, and then Haymitch and Ripred. I'd have to reread to like pick out specific moments. But yeah, they do kind of both pairs there have like kind of mutual respect for each other. They're a little like antagonistic toward each other, but ultimately they're allies. And yeah, I think that like even though Luxa and Katniss sometimes hate working with Ripred and Haymitch because they're so difficult, they recognize that like the mentor figure does have important knowledge and understands the importance of like accepting that help. Like Luxa, she said she does end up saying like, "Please tell me your plan," because she knows that Rip Red's plans are good and that she needs his help right now, which I love. Yeah, I'm gonna have
Right.
to reread Hunger
I
Games
was just
soon.
I was just very curious And I'm gonna have to get started again. So all the fans out there, I'm so sorry. I just it just didn't when I was because like I think it was already out or like the first one that had come out by like the fourth or fifth book. I really don't remember what the timeline was, but like I had heard that hey, this is another series by Suzanne Collins, and I read like the first couple pages, and I was just like ah. But like you know what? Now as an adult, I'm gonna try watching the movie. I played
Mhm.
Minecraft Hunger Games when I was in like a freshman in high
Oh
school,
my
so
god,
it's like
me
obviously I like
too.
the concept. So clearly there's a bit of love of Hunger Games somewhere in my heart. I just gotta pull it out, you know.
That's so funny, Mike. What if we met in a Hunger Games Minecraft server and we didn't even know?
That's so funny. I remember being like 13, 14, just watching a bunch of Beijing Canadian videos, just watching him just kill it in Minecraft Hunger Games and being addicted to playing Battle Royale like 24/7. It was horrible how often I played. It
Oh
was
my
it was
god.
abysmal.
I was so into that stuff in like middle school, even early high school, I think. God, that's so funny. I forgot about Hunger
Shout out.
Games
Yeah,
Minecraft.
man. Shout out to the. Oh, yep. And we wouldn't have things like Fortnite. We wouldn't have things like Call of Duty Blackout if it wasn't for Minecraft Hunger Games. I just want to put that on record.
Oh, that's so funny. Anyway, back to Gregor. So, Rip Red is apologizing to Luxa for giving the orders, but Luxa just tells everyone to do as Rip Red says, so Gregor lies on his stomach next to her, and then the chapter ends with this. At first, he didn't know what he was looking at. There was a volcano. A golden glow issued from the top. That wasn't a reason for pulling over, though. Then he heard Cartesian's voice behind him as it whispered, "The others," which is such a chilling end to the chapter. It's so
What do you mean the
good.
others? What do you mean the others? What does that
I
mean? What,
I
Jennifer
love
Lawrence, what do you mean? What do you mean? What does that mean?
I love how throughout the book so far, as we've been traveling with Cartesian, he keeps having these outbursts of like, where are the others? Where are the others? And logically, we know what that means. Like, he wants to know where the other mice are and stuff. But we kind of, push him to the side a little bit. We're like, oh, that's just Cartesian. Like, he's not well. He's just having this outburst. And then there's this moment at the end of this chapter of clarity for him, and instead of asking where are the others, he answers his own question, the others, and it is absolutely bone chilling.
And that's when we get into that's when we get into like the real bad part, right? That's when this gets
Right?
like, yeah, this is when it gets like really bad to watch and witness and read and hear.
Yeah,
Like
this
it's
is
probably can't talk so much about it since the next chapter, but like Jesus Christ, y'all. I this again. You're in fourth grade, fifth grade. You're reading your fun little underground, quest book story about like a kid and his sister and a bug and a rat and a bat, and everything's like a little crazy, a little hectic. But what comes next after this is insane. And
mm-hmm.
I think it's like the first introductions to like, for a kid, like would you consider it like a kid's first introduction to like genocide? Would you?
Yeah, honestly, like I think probably, like, I wasn't reading any other middle grade books like this that had this kind of thing in them.
Yeah, I've never, I mean, I read Artemis Fowl, but even Artemis Fowl didn't really necessarily have genocide in it. Like people got shot and stuff, but like
Right.
nothing like this. What comes next is insane, but oh my gosh.
Yeah,
But also a
yeah, just
volcano, about an underground
absolutely
volcano,
wild.
which is not that far fetched. Not that
Mm-hmm.
far fetched, magma and stuff that's going to be underground, like lava will be underground. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what happens. And the question is, what does that, do we feel that above ground? Like, are they still underneath Virginia? I mean, not Virginia, but underneath New York, technically speaking?
That is such a good question. I feel like they've been traveling for so
Because
long. They
what
could
happens is
be.
so catastrophic.
Yeah. That's a good question. I never thought about if maybe the overland could feel whatever volcano stuff was happening below ground. I guess I just always figured that they're probably far enough underground that like the overland doesn't know what's going on, but maybe, who knows?
Right, because like, is it the depth? Is it the depth between the surface and the underland that keeps them from being like discovered? Is it because like the mist apparently that he falls through obfuscates to him how long he
Mhm.
falls, so he doesn't know how long
Yeah.
he falls. I have to go back and like at least read like any sort of descriptor during that time that he's falling, so he can even sort of an estimation, because like that's it. Just trying to break it down. It's just like an underground
Mhm.
volcano. What happens happens. The overworld doesn't feel that. Like Virginia doesn't feel an earthquake.
Mm.
I'm not Virginia. I keep saying Virginia. New York doesn't feel an earthquake. I'm pretty sure there was an entire movie about this where there was like a volcano in like New York or something.
Yeah, God, I wonder. I'm not sure that we ever get like specific numbers about how deep the Underland is. And also, it's complicated by the fact that they had to go deeper underground during this quest when they were in like Hades Hall, but then they come back out of Hades Hall, so then they're in like, I guess, the regular Underland, like ground level or whatever would be considered like the ground level of the Underland. But yeah, we never get
Because
specifics
didn't
about
wasn't there a
that.
thing that Howard broke down? Wasn't there like a
Hmm.
thing about like don't think of the Underland like this, think of it like that? Do you remember exactly what he said?
Yeah, he was describing it like you can't think of the Underland as like a flat plane. It's more of a sphere where you can go up and down as well as like side to side. Yeah, because they had to go like deeper underground to get like through Hades Hall. But I guess I don't know at this point in the story like how deep they are in relation to everything else. And we never get that information. So that's interesting to think about, though. Do you have any other thoughts about this chapter?
Pretty much just wow, like I mean, again, shout out to Rip Red for kind of, I'm not gonna say he was the most level. I mean, he did keep the most level head with all this. I still
Mm-hmm.
wonder how the heck he's like Luxa, because you sort of answered that question for me. Like she has more skill and like knowledge and wherewithal with being airable from the training with the bats and etc. Still doesn't make sense how Rip Red knows what to do. Um, I'm just thinking of like Rip Rad going up to the Currents and just cashing the win on his off time. Um,
Who knows with
and
that guy?
Cartesian, poor Cartesian, and just always spelling doom. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
there's some sort of narrative. I know Cartesian is like a reference to something, some sort of literary or like literature. I'm just not quite sure what, but I'm not quite sure if it has anything to do with like doom and gloom. Because every time that orb mouse opens his mouth, it's just doom and gloom.
Yeah, yeah. Cartesian is named after the Cartesian plane, which is like the XY plane in math, but then that plane is named after Rene Descartes, who was a philosopher. And I don't know enough about the philosopher to know if there's any connection to our mouse friend here. I would have to do some more digging. Yeah, I don't know if Rene Descartes, the philosopher, ever, was said stuff about doom and gloom or like made any dire predictions the way that Cartesian the mouse does, but
A philosopher, but sometimes philosophers could be like real buzzkills.
yeah, yeah. I would have to look that up. That's an interesting thought.
I kid though. But other than that, what an enjoyable chapter. Just again, things are getting more. The anxiety continues to build as we get closer to the end of this book. And you would think by the time we get to the end of the book, there's a breath, but unfortunately, no. Um, you get more, or you kind of get like more and more. And I'll confess, I still, out of all of the books that are the hardest for me to pick up, number 4 and 5 are my hardest. I can go through 1 through 3, no problem. But
Uh-huh.
when we get to around this chapter on, even through Code of Claw, it's so hard for me to pick up Code of Claw. Like it's very
Mm-hmm.
hard for me to even read that first page of him just kind of spiraling. So,
Yeah.
I look forward to that, and I just look forward to more chapters.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely like the beginning of the end. It's like it's damn near nonstop after this. Like the end of this book goes straight into the next one, and it's just like one thing after the other. Yeah, it's it's a wild ride.
Yeah, so everybody there just, grab their popcorn, lacing up their bootstraps and just kind of get ready for the third act of the Underland Chronicles. Because I would say it starts with what happens next. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Mike.
absolutely, it's always a pleasure to come on to Return to Regalia, speak with you, and speak with the rest of the Underland Chronicles community, and just say we're still here. We still appreciate everything that you do.
Yeah, yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's seriously always a great time. Is there anything that you want to plug at the end here? Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Tumblr at over in Underland. You can find my partner Mind If I Relax also on Tumblr. He says hi. I wanted to give a huge shout out to the beta reader of my fan fiction, Anxious Dragon Collector, of the fan fiction Gregor and the Seeker of the Warrior. Quick little synopsis: Gregor is back, unfortunately, with a sort of comedic sidekick who sort of steps into his own role of ace and what it's like to be a wingman to a horrific yet very funny quest that involves stating loyalty and falling in love with a archer with a stick up his ass. So make sure y'all head on over to AO3 and check out Gregor and the Seeker of the Warrior, also underneath the pen name Over in Underland.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much. The next episode of Return to Regalia will cover chapters 22 and 23. Find us on Tumblr, Instagram, and YouTube at Return to Regalia, all one word. Thank you for listening, and until next time, fly you high.
Fly you high.